Welcome back. You found this channel, which means you're either brave or you just don't know what you're getting yourself into yet. Either way, I'm glad you're here. Tonight's story was sent to me by a woman named Maya. She lived alone on the third floor of an apartment building in Chicago. Everything was normal. Her life was quiet, ordinary, safe, until it wasn't. Close the lights, put on your headphones, and whatever you do, don't look behind you. Maya was 27 years old. She had just moved into a new apartment in Chicago after a difficult breakup. Third floor, building on Maple Street, corner unit. She liked it quiet. She liked being alone. She worked from home as a graphic designer, so most of her days looked exactly the same. Coffee in the morning, laptop open by 9, lunch at her desk, food delivery by night. She didn't go out much. She didn't need to. She had everything she needed inside those four walls. She didn't need much. She didn't ask for much. But something was about to come into her life that she never asked for at all. It started on a Tuesday night, around 2 a.m. Maya had just fallen asleep when she heard it. A slow, dragging sound, coming from the apartment directly above hers. She lay still and listened. Drag. Pause. Drag. She told herself it was nothing. Furniture moving. Someone rearranging their room in the middle of the night. Strange. Yes, but not impossible. She turned over and went back to sleep. It happened again the next night. Same time. 2 a.m. exactly. The same slow dragging sound. Like something heavy being pulled across a wooden floor. Drag. Pause. Drag. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling. The sound stopped after a few minutes. She finally slept. But the next morning, she did something she would later wish she hadn't. She went upstairs to meet her neighbor. She knocked on the door of apartment 4B. She heard shuffling inside, slow, deliberate movement, like someone moving very carefully, step by step, toward the door. The door opened. Just a crack. The man was old, maybe 70. Pale eyes, thin white hair, wearing a dark robe even though it was 10 in the morning. He looked at her for a long moment before he smiled. His name was Mr. Aldren. He said he had lived there for 30 years. He apologized for the noise. A bit of insomnia, he said. Nothing to worry about. Maya smiled back and told him it was fine. She introduced herself. He nodded slowly, said it was nice to meet her. She turned and walked back down the stairs, but something about his face stayed with her all day long. Something she couldn't put into words. Couldn't shake. He hadn't blinked once while they spoke. Not once. The sounds didn't stop. They got worse. Now it wasn't just dragging. It was tapping. On the floor above her. In patterns. 3 taps. A pause. 3 taps. Like something, or someone, was counting. One night, Maya decided to record it on her phone. She held the phone up toward the ceiling in the dark and recorded for 10 minutes straight. When she played it back the next morning, she heard something she hadn't been able to hear in real time. Underneath the tapping, very low, very faint, was a voice. She turned the volume all the way up, put the phone to her ear. The voice was saying one word, over and over and over again. Her name. She called the landlord that same day. He told her apartment 4B had a long-term tenant, a man named Aldren. Had been there for years. No complaints ever filed. Quiet man, he said. Maya hung up and tried to move on, but she couldn't sleep that night, or the night after. The tapping continued every single night at 2 a.m. 3 taps. A pause. 3 taps. On the 5th night, she had had enough. She got out of bed, put on her robe, and walked back upstairs. It was 11 p.m. The hallway was empty and dim. She knocked on the door of 4B. No answer. She knocked again, harder this time. Still nothing. She reached for the handle. and the door swung open by itself. It hadn't been latched. Maya pushed the door open slowly and stepped inside. The apartment was empty, completely empty. No furniture, no belongings, no rugs, no curtains, just bare walls, bare floors, and a single light bulb swinging gently from the ceiling. She stood in the doorway and looked around, and then she saw it. In the center of the room, on the floor, was a circle of photographs, dozens of them, all arranged in a perfect circle, face up, evenly spaced, all printed in black and white. She stepped closer, crouched down. They were all photographs of the same person. Her hands were already trembling as she reached down and picked one up. She turned it over. On the back, in thin, scratchy handwriting, was a date. She picked up another one. Same date. Another. Same date. She spread them out on the floor and looked at the images properly for the first time. The photographs were all of her. Every single one. Maya at the grocery store. Maya at her laptop by the window. Maya sleeping in her bed. Maya opening her front door to collect her food delivery. They had been taken from outside, through her windows, without her knowledge. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the dates on the back. These photographs had been taken weeks ago, before she had even moved into this building. She had been watched before she arrived, chosen, and the date written on the back of every single photograph was tonight's date. Tonight. Maya dropped the photographs and ran. She didn't take the elevator. She took the stairs, all 3 flights, bursting through the lobby doors and out into the cold night street. She didn't stop running until she reached a cafe 2 blocks away. She called the police from inside, hands shaking so badly she could barely dial. Officers arrived at the building within minutes. They went up to apartment 4B to investigate. What they found stopped them cold. The apartment had been vacant for 2 years. The landlord confirmed it. There was no record of any tenant, no lease, no deposits, no maintenance requests. No one by the name of Mr. Aldren had ever lived in that building. But in the far back corner of that empty room, they found a sleeping bag, still warm. Maya stood outside on the street while the officers searched the building. She looked up at the building's face, at the windows, and then she looked at her own apartment window on the 3rd floor. The light was on. She had not left it on. She stared at the window, and standing there, just barely visible through the glass, was a figure, standing perfectly still, looking down at her from inside her apartment. She grabbed the arm of the nearest officer and pointed up. Both officers looked up at the window. It was dark. The figure was gone. The officers searched the entire building, every floor, every room, every stairwell, every exit. They found no one. No one at all. But here's the part that Maya still cannot explain to this day. When she finally went back inside her apartment to collect her things and leave forever, her front door was locked from the inside, with her own keys still hanging in the lock. From the inside. The officers had no explanation. Neither did anyone else. Maya moved out that same night. She never returned to that building. Not once. The police investigation was opened and closed 6 months later. No suspect, no motive, no explanation. Mr. Aldren was never found. His identity was never confirmed. As far as any official record is concerned, he never existed at all. Maya now lives in a different city. Ground floor. No windows facing the street. Blackout curtains on every window. A deadbolt, a chain lock, and a security bar on the front door. And every single night, before she goes to sleep, she checks her front door. Not once, not twice, 7 times. Every single night. Without fail. I don't blame her. Do you? If you've had a similar experience, something that happened to you that you still can't explain, send it to me. I read every single submission, and one of them might become our next episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Turn on the notification bell, and come back next week for another story. Sleep well, if you can.